A dying fire's an honest thing. It shows you exactly what's left of a man when the night gets cold enough. Embers glowing low in the settling dust, crackling soft like a memory I couldn't trust. The sky turned copper as the daylight fell, carrying whispers only the lonely tell. My saddle rested by a weathered stone, last mile ridden, last breath unknown. Smoke drifted slow, thin as fading light. Campfire smoke on his final night. Ash rising gentle where the darkness creeps, holding the secrets a dying man keeps. No prayer spoken, no hope inside, just campfire smoke on his final night. Stars blinked awake in a quiet hush, watching the fever in my weary rush. Every regret stirred the glowing coals, like ghosts pacing circles round my soul. The wind hummed low, mournful tune. The shadows gathered beneath the moon. I felt the world slipping out of sight, with campfire smoke on his final night. Ash rising gentle where the darkness creeps, carrying the weight that never sleeps. My name fading slow, swallowed by night in campfire smoke on his final night. Maybe a man don't choose his end, maybe the fire just stops pretending. All that's left in the quiet and dim is every truth he kept from them. Ash rising silent as the world grows still, taking my stories over the hill. If peace ever came, it found me tonight inside campfire smoke on my final night. When the last ember died out, I finally understood. The fire had been waiting to say goodbye. Out here, even a man's name can disappear faster than dust in a dying wind. Footsteps soft on hollow trail, memories drifting like a tattered veil. Sunset bleeding through the canyon line, turning every regret into a warning sign. Old scars whisper under withered skin. Stories I buried keep writing again. No one left to call out where I came, just dust trails of a fading name. Dust rising where my shadow goes, when still in pieces nobody knows. Sins I carried too heavy to tame, now they drift as a fading name. Broken fence posts leaning in the dusk. Time turns iron into fragile rust. Coyotes watching with a knowing stare, as if they see what isn't there. Ghosts of my choices walking behind, echoes clinging to a restless mind. Nightfall swallows all I became into dust trails of a fading name. Dust rising where my shadow goes, when stealing truths I never chose. No footsteps left for anyone to claim, only traces of a fading name. Maybe the frontier gets us all. Maybe the past don't answer the call. Some men live loud, some burn like flame. I guess I'm just the kind who fades the same. Dust rising as the world turns black. No voice calling, no turning back. If heaven remembers, it won't be the same, just dust trails of a fading name. When the wind stopped, so did everything that ever knew who I was. The sun don't choose who we leave behind. It just sinks and lets the shadows finish the story. Crimson light bleeding down the canyon walls, a quiet hush where the night wind calls. My boots drag slow through the dying heat, carrying the weight of 100 defeats. The rocks glow red like an old tired flame, whispering tales that still bear my name. One last breath as the day resigns under the last sunset over the canyon line. Golden fire falling as the world grows cold, painting my sins in a shade of gold. Dust on my coat, no place to hide under the last sunset over the canyon line. Shadows stretch long like reaching hands, pulling me deeper into forgotten lands. A lone hawk circles in the fading light, as if it knows I won't last the night. Stones remember where my boots have been, even if the wind erases every sin. The sky sighs low, a final sign. This is the last sunset over the canyon line. Golden fire falling as the world grows cold. Stories I carry now, tired and old. Nothing ahead but the long decline toward the last sun sunset over the canyon line. Maybe the end ain't something to fear. Maybe it's peace drawing closer each year. If the dark takes me, let it be kind. I've ridden far enough to make up my mind. Golden fire sinking as the shadows climb, marking the end of this life of mine. If the world forgets me, that's just fine. I saw the last sunset over the canyon line. And when the light died, I didn't chase it, I just let it go. Right before night takes everything, when even the hooves grow quiet, like the world's holding its breath. Last glow fading on a valley floor, a soft wind humming through an open door. My horse moves slow through the amber haze, each step echoing the end of days. Sky painted gold with a funeral hue, dust rising gentle where the shadows grew. No sound but the heartbeat of coming night, just quiet hooves across a dying light. Soft steps falling where the sun retreats, silence drifting through the canyon streets, whispers of sorrow carried out of sight, from quiet hooves across a dying light. Fence rails leaning in like they've seen too much, old graves watching with a weathered touch. The wind feels heavy like it knows my sins, wrapping around me as the dark begins. The world turns copper slow and deep, lullaby meant for the ones who sleep. My shadow trembles thin and slight, with quiet hooves across a dying light. Soft steps falling where the sun retreats, every breath mixing with the dust and heat. Ghost of my past riding just out of sight, on quiet hooves across the dying light. Maybe the end comes gentle as this, not with thunder but a fading kiss, a final moment where wrongs and right both vanish softly into night.
Soft steps fading as the world turns cold, carrying stories I never told. If peace is waiting, it starts tonight.
With quiet hooves across the dying light. And when the last glow slipped away, I didn't turn back. The night was already leading me home.
A man can outrun many things, but on the last mile his own shadow always catches up.
Dust curling slow beneath a blood-red sky, wind whispering truths I used to deny. My boots drag soft on a beaten trail, every heartbeat heavy, every breath frail. The sun hangs low like it's taking its time, watching me stagger through the end of the line. Silence follows, cold and wild, the shadows lean long on the final mile. A long dark figure stretching across the land, reaching for me with a bone-thin hand. No mercy left, just the weight of exile. The shadows lean long on the final mile. Posts fade in the amber gloom, like ghosts standing guard at an open tomb. Coyote cries float from the distant rim, a hymn for the damned, quiet and grim. The world grows smaller with each slow stride, memories riding right at my side. Daylight trembles, worn and fragile, while shadows lean long on the final mile. Long dark figures stretching across the land, calling my name like they understand. Dust in my throat, regret in my smile, as shadows lean long on the final mile. Maybe the end don't come with a roar, maybe it's just a knock at the door, a soft reminder after all this while that every road narrows to one last mile. Dark figures pulling me into night, fading my story out of the light. If this is the end, let it come gentle and wild, with shadows leaning long, long the final mile.
when the darkness finally met my stride. I didn't fight it, I just walked with it.
Sundown always tells the truth, even when a man's not ready to hear it.
Last light sinking on an empty track, dust rising soft like it wants me back. My shadow stretching long across the sand, holding every choice I didn't understand. Cold wind humming through the broken wire, carrying the ghosts of an old town's fire. Every step whispers what I never told. Sundown echoes on the empty road. Golden sparks dying where the daylight fades, footprints fading into darker shades. Whiskey on my breath, memories heavy as stone. Still I hear sundown echoes on the empty road. A lonesome star climbs through the amber dust, watching a wanderer outrun his rust. I hear the creak of a saddle left behind, like a warning from a life I couldn't rewind. Fence posts leaning like tired bones, marking the miles I've walked alone. Night creeps in, quiet and cold, with sundown echoes on the empty road. Golden sparks dying where the daylight fades, footsteps swallowed by the vast cascades. Pain in my chest, truth in the load, and still those sundown echoes on the empty road. Maybe the dark ain't chasing me, maybe I'm the one who invited it in, but the past keeps riding faithfully, never letting go of the weight of sin. Golden sparks falling as the world turns black, no turning around, no looking back. If redemption waits where the sunrise glows, I'll follow these sundown echoes on the empty road.
The road keeps going, and so do I, whether I'm ready or not. Some riders leave a trail, but some just disappear before dawn never knows their name. Hoofprints fading in the morning dust, a cold wind stirring what was left to trust. His coat still smelled of the midnight rain, but his silence carried more than pain. Campfire dying where he used to sit, stories unfinished, none of them led, no letter, no whisper, no reason why. Just a rider who never said goodbye. He left before the the dawn could rise, vanished beneath those hollow skies. No footprints pointing where or why, just a rider who said no goodbye. Saddle sway echoes in the canyon's throat, like a haunting hymn, the shadows roll. The road he took was carved in gloom, a path of sorrow the night made room. Lanterns flickered as if they knew this wasn't a tale meant to continue. Only the dust dared testify for the rider who said no goodbye. He left before the dawn could rise, moonlight burning in his eyes. No trail to follow, no alibi, just a rider who said no goodbyes. Maybe he ran from the man he'd become, or maybe the silence was calling him home. Some stories end with a shout or a cry, quiet, like a slow goodbye. He left before the dawn could rise, a fading ghost beneath the skies. No truth to chase, no tear to dry, only a rider who said no goodbye. And if the wind ever brings his name back, it'll be the first thing he didn't leave behind.
A man don't last long out here. But the West, she remembers everything he tried to forget.
Boot prints fading on a wind-scarred trail, stories unraveling in the evening veil. My shadow flickers where the sagebrush sways, a silhouette swallowed by older days. Mountains stare down with an ancient stare, judging the weight of the sins I bear. I walk slow, knowing no one can outlive the West the way it outlived the man. Dust keeps rising where my footsteps fall, echoes answering the silent call. Time moves on with a merciless hand, and the West outlives the man. Old fences broken by the desert wind mark all the places I failed to mend. A rusted lantern swings from a dying tree, like it's waiting to show what's left of me. The sky turns copper, cold and grand, stretching wider than my heart can stand. Every mile writes what fate began in the West that outlived the man. Dust keeps rising where my footsteps fall, carrying whispers too faint to recall. Night folds in with a slow command, and the West outlives the man. that outlives the man. Dust keeps rising as the daylight dies, taking my truth, taking my lies. If I fade tonight, let the desert stand, for the West will outlive the man. And when the wind erased my trail, the land didn't mourn, it just kept breathing. The desert don't bury secrets, it just keeps them quiet long enough for a man to forget he left them behind. Heat waves trembling on a sunburned plain, carrying whispers of an old refrain. My boots sing slow where the story is high, half-truths buried deep on the canyon side. Bones of a campfire cold and gray, marking the nights I threw faith away. Every dune holds what I tried to deny, what the desert kept in silence still survives. Dust-covered memories the wind won't speak, shadows of sins I was too damn weak, buried in sand where no prayers rise. It's what the desert kept in silence all this time. A lone crow circles in the heated air, guarding the things I left trembling there. Old letters fading in a rusted tin, words too broken to ever begin. The desert listens with a patient ear, holding my shame year after year. No matter how far I drift or ride, it waits with secrets I once tried to hide. Dust-covered memories the wind won't speak, footsteps erased in a single week, ghosts of the truth that refuse to die. What the desert kept in silence still survives. Maybe the quiet was mercy at best, maybe the sand just needed its rest. But every man's past has a place to live. Mine sleeps beneath what I couldn't forgive. Dust-covered memories calling my name, rising again from the heat and flame. If redemption's lost on this endless ride, the desert will keep my silence when I die. Some things you leave behind, and some things wait for you. Right where you buried them.
man's story only travels as far as the light will carry it. After that, the horizon decides what stays and what disappears.
Crimson dust settling on the drifting plain, wind brushing softly over tracks of pain. My boots sink slow where the silence grows, a place where even the dying sun barely glows. Shadows stretch thin on the desert floor, like they're reaching for the man I was before. I felt the world pull tight and hoary when the horizon swallowed his story. Dust rising where his last words fell, carried off quiet like a broken spell. No echoes left, no path to carry when the horizon swallowed his story. Coyotes watching from a distant rise, as if they'd seen too many last goodbyes. A rusted canteen by a leaning stone, marking the miles he walked alone. The sky turned gold, then bled to gray, taking his footprints all the way. Night rolled in slow and predatory, while the horizon swallowed his story. Dust rising where his last words fell, fading in a night with no farewell. No truth to chase, no ghost to bury, when the horizon swallowed his story. Maybe your life don't end with a scream, maybe it fades like a half-lost dream. Some tales die quiet then and hoary, just waiting for the horizon to claim their glory. Dust rising soft as the world grew still, carrying his name over ridge and hill. No tear, no marker, no memory to carry, for the horizon had swallowed his story. But when the sun slipped away, it took everything he ever was and left nothing for the night to find.